Hi YouTube, it's me Tifal Wilderness. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this month's end of month bot haul where I show you all the Transformer related items that I've got throughout the month. Now it's a bit of a small haul this month. I've only got 7 bots on the table next to me to show you, which only represents 6 purchases that I've made throughout the month. It would have been more. But there was a couple of pre-orders that I made of stuff that isn't out yet, and also there was a second item that I ordered off AliExpress, which unfortunately the shipping got cancelled on it, and I had to get a refund, and that never happened. So yeah, so hopefully I will be able to keep this video shorter than usual because I do like to sort of rabbit and chat unnecessarily in my videos, but hey-o. I want to get through this stuff pretty quickly, so famous last words. Hopefully this will be a nice short video, and 45 minutes, an hour later, I'm still rabbiting on. Anyway, so let's get on with things, shall we? First purchase to arrive this month, you've seen an unboxing video on it, is an order from Hasbro Pulse of 2 recent releases that came out. First one is Studio Series Bumblebee movie Wheeljack. I decided to get him. I'd recently got the Studio Series Bumblebee movie Brawn and Ratchet, and decided I want to get Wheeljack as well. It's a decent little figure, kind of small for a deluxe, but then again, this is Studio Series we're talking about. They're pretty serious about their scale, but they are scaling stuff down for the Studio Series, and yeah, he's pretty small. Decent transformation, nice aesthetic. Obviously, he's got a slightly loose, ball-jointed hips, as you do, but I've seen worse. Trust me. He's all right. He's okay. Studio Series, Bumblebee movie Wheeljack. Pretty small, but an okay bot. And then the other figure that arrived is my second legacy figure in the form of core class Iguanus. Yeah, I thought I'd get this thing. It looked kind of interesting. I mean, he turns into some sort of Cybertronian motorcycle. Pretty cool looking bot. Nice purple colours going on. I had a bit of an issue transforming it, because obviously when you're going into the bike mode you have to sort of bend the legs double and then sort of clip them into the tail section, which then becomes the seat of the bike, and then the feet plug into the wheels, sorry. And I didn't realise you had to swivel the waist round to make this happen, so I was trying to do it the other way round, because me being me, I like to transform things without instructions, and it just wouldn't peg together, and I was thinking, oh no, there was a bit of plastic that was in the way and stopping things from pegging together, and I was thinking, oh, it's a QC issue on mine. I was going to get a knife out and shave this bit of plastic off so that it worked, and then I suddenly realised, hang on a minute, that the waist is supposed to be around the other way, the seat is supposed to point upwards, not downwards, and when I swiveled the waist round, everything plugged into place properly. So yeah, nearly had a bit of an accident with it, but I sorted it out in the end. Decent little figure. Good articulation, considering it's a core class or legends class. He's cool. I like him. He's decent. So I got him as part of this Hasbro Pulse order I'd placed at the beginning of the month. Right, then the next thing to happen. Now, last year I placed a pre-order with Omega Lock for Planet X PXC04 Cacus. Their IDW Grimlock, and I paid for it up front and was patiently waiting for a notification from Omega Lock to say that they'd got the item in stock and they were going to ship it. Then the figure came out. I saw some things on social media, on YouTube, where people were getting theirs and the shoulders were breaking off in the package during transit, and this led to I believe, did it lead to a recall or a reissue of the figure with sort of beefed up packaging? Anyway, I hadn't received any notification from Omega Lock, so eventually I got tired of waiting, so I sent them a message saying, I ordered this thing back when, I've paid for it, blah blah blah. What's happened to it? Where is it? And they came back to me saying, well, unfortunately, there's been an increase in the wholesale price, so you'll need to pay us an additional 30 quid to get your figure, because they had the item listed on their sister site, TFS Express, or was it on Megalock? Anyway, for 30 quid more than the price I'd paid for it. And, there was a discrepancy between the two prices. I thought that the price I'd paid was one of those sort of like pre-order incentive or early bird sort of pre-order prices. Anyway, so they sent me this link. I clicked on the link and it took me to this page where you had to... It was for a payment of, was it 20 pence? And you had to multiply it by the number you required to pay the full amount that you was asked to pay. So I think I had to 20 pence times however much to make up the £30, which is a very unusual way to make an order. And they did it as a separate order to the one that I was actually making the payment on. So I sent it, and then a day later I got notification they were shipping my figure. And I was wondering, I said, is mine going to arrive with the broken shoulders? Am I going to have one that's got the old style packaging where the figure's held in a loose plastic clamshell, and it gets rattled around in transit and it busts the shoulders off, so the arms break off. Well, anyway, the figure arrives on the 4th. I did an unboxing on it, and fortunately it wasn't broken. And they actually sent some spare parts, some spare shoulder joints, just in case. So anyway, yeah. So I finally got my Planet X Cacus, and wow, what a thing this is. The reason I wanted this is because this is a sort of masterpiece rendition of IDW Grimlock, and I really need an IDW Grimlock for my Scavengers lineup, from the IDW, More Than Meets the Eye. Scavengers, this group of Decepticon no-hopers who basically defected and left the Decepticon cause, are now going out alone and going out through the universe and just helping other bots in distress. They get targeted by the DJD, and unfortunately that leads to the death of one of their members, Flywheels. But they find this crashed ship, and inside is Grimlock, who's in stasis, and when they manage to revive him, he's got brain damage and he doesn't quite know who he is, and misfires trying to bring him on, and eventually he sort of starts coming back to his senses, and then they run into Scorponok, who was the one who gave Grimlock the brain damage in the first place. And there's this scene in one episode of the comic where they basically fake their death, where Grimlock does this fake rampage in the cell and kills all the other members, but it's actually it's all a hoax and a farce. But I got a bit upset about that. But anyway, finally got this. Been wanting to get one for my Scavengers lineup. Mastermind Creations were supposed to be doing one as part of their reformatted line. I mean, you saw there was a teaser image of it. This is about 3 or 4 years ago. They did a teaser image on it, and if you do searches for it online, I think it's called Trucks, Mastermind Creations reformatted Trucks, and you can get pictures of it, but it's never gone on pre-order. It's never been released, and I don't understand that. Anyway, so Planet X has beat them to the punch, and it makes you wonder: are Planet X going to start doing IDW figures? I mean, technically they have done a couple already, but they've mostly been concentrating on Fall of Cybertron designs from the computer game. But they've basically milked that well dry, and now they've got to move on to other things. And I think this is the direction they're going to. So, what about the actual figure itself? He's not broken. He's super heavy, very very chunky. Quite a bit of die cast on him. Obviously, he's got this motif on his chest that a lot of people are saying, it's like the Batman motif, which I can see that. Now, transforming this thing, this guy is a brute to transform. He's an absolute monster in all sense of the word. It's mainly these ratchets. I mean, he's got these, not those, but how do you do this? he's got some really, really super tight ratchet joints in the knees and in the shoulders. And when you're transforming it, it's brutal. It really is brutal transforming this thing. It's an absolute, I won't say it's a pain, but you know, it's very difficult to get get everything maneuvered into place to get him into his dinosaur mode. It's not so bad going back to the robot mode, but because you're just unfolding everything out. But when you're collapsing everything down to go to the dino mode, it's really tough, and you really think you're going to break it sometimes. The ratchets are so tight. But it's a good job I've got some spare shoulder joints for it, just in case I break it when I'm trying to transform it, because these, I mean, there's a double shoulder joint. There's one, and then there's two joints in the shoulders, and then there's two joints in the knees as well. And I mean, that one's all right, but it's the other one. That one. Yeah. Oh, they are stupidly tight. And they're the ones where you have to fold the legs over to form the tail of the dino mode. Not fun to transform this guy, because he's got some super tight ratchets on it. They don't need to be that tight, but they are. And it's a brute of a thing to transform. It really is. But I finally got myself an IDW Grimlock. He's a bit big to fit in with my sort of Generations Deluxe or Chug scale Scavengers lineup, because this guy's more Masterpiece scale. I'm still hoping that Mastermind Creations are still going to come out with their version. I'll still buy that, but I was going to buy this thing anyway. One, because I'm a fan of Grimlock as a character, and two, because this represents IDW Grimlock, which is a character who I like a lot, or version of the character that I like a lot, and he also has his involvement with the Scavengers, and that's the main reason why I wanted him. So yeah, I finally got this guy, and also having to pay that extra £30 to get this thing shipped because of the increase in the wholesale price. This meant that this guy was now, I ended up paying before I was paying like £146 for it, and then I was paying like £176 for it, and he's like the fourth most expensive bot I own now, or something to that effect. So anyway, yeah, so I finally got a hold of my Planet X Cacus. He's all right. He's he's a beast of a bot in all sense of the word, and but I finally got one, and there we go. So that arrived on the 4th. So next we have my Korean toys. Now, my unboxing series this month was a bit messed up. I did the first 2 unboxings with the things you've already seen, but then the third unboxing, because my unboxing videos were a bit late. I mean, the first one was on, well, it was on the 6th, and then the second one was on the 13th, and then there was a bit of a gap because the final one was on the 27th, so you didn't actually get one on the 20th. And the reason being is because my KTRTs came in and I wanted to review them, and because I was running out of reviewing slots, because I like to have my review slots on 9:30 on a Saturday morning, I didn't want to review the figure and then do the unboxing video on it because it would have caused a continuity error. So I decided to hold back on my third unboxing video and do it for the last figure that I got this month, which is well, if you've seen the unboxing video, you didn't actually see the whole box because it came out the box in pieces, so I had to assemble it, and it's here, and you'll see it at the end of the haul. Anyway, so Korean toys. I ordered both of them from, well, I wanted to finish off the Hello Carbot Samba toy line with their combiner, and then they've just released the first couple of bots for the season 12 of Hello Carbots, the new season called Bomba, and one of the figures they released is like a reboot or a rework of one of the original Carbots from the original series, who I'm a big fan of. And yeah, Hello Carbot Hawk, or Hawk X, and Oh, this thing's amazing. I love this thing. The original figure came out 2014, 2015, and it was based, because back then the original Carbots, they had the license with Hyundai, and they were doing, all the cars were based on, you know, Hyundai vehicles or cars. So they had the licensing fee, and all the cars they were scale models of real world cars, and that's what really drew me into the toy line in the first place, because they had these big scale, you know, fairly well detailed cars that transformed into like leader class bots, and it was really, really cool. But then after a couple of seasons they moved away from that, and subsequent, you know, seasons, I mean, we're up to season 12. This guy's from season 12. So yeah, in season 9 they reissued Pentastorm, the combiner and the characters from the original series. They all got reissued, but most of the characters, the X characters, came out with, like, they were smaller bots. They were more like Voyagers than leader class bots, and they were heavily re-engineered to form the new combiner. But they didn't do Hawk. They didn't reissue Hawk, and Hawk, like I said, he was in the original series and series 2, and I don't think he showed up much after that. But he was a really good character. He wasn't affiliated with the Pentastorm Combiner. He was like his own thing, but he was a good character, quite interesting. He had quite a lot of you know, really cool and funny episodes, and I was a bit of a fan of the character. And I've got the original toy, and I showed it in my review. But anyway, so move forward to the present day. We'd heard rumours that they were going to be doing a Hawk X version, but wasn't sure what it was going to be like. Whether it was going to be like a scaled down figure to match the rest of the X figures, but no, it wasn't. So when it came out, it's a full scale, you know, leader class bot with a lot of design cues that hark back to the original, and they threw in a third mode. So he's a triple changer now. So now he's got this bird mode. But the robot mode looks very close to his original. I mean, yeah, okay, they've changed a lot of the design cues from the original, and maybe for better, maybe for worse. KR Brickbot did his review of it, and he was super nitpicky about the design changes they'd made on this over the original. Like, he was complaining about how the legs are all sort of very, very long and blocky now, and you know, stuff like that. And yeah, some of his criticisms were valid, but I could see past all that, and I really love this thing, because they could have really done things. They could have, you know, not bother to make this guy, you know, a full-sized, you know, Carbot like Carbots of old. They didn't need to make him look as close to the original as possible, but they did. They didn't need to work in the third mode, but they did. There's so many things that they didn't need to do, but they did, and they just went the extra mile to make this thing look as close to the original figure, but still be something new and fresh. And I really appreciate what they did there. And he's a great figure. He's not perfect. He does have some... I have some minor quibbles with it, most notably the head. He's got a really small head, and his original head had like a star shape to it with a lot of white, and there's no white on this head. I suppose if I was to touch it up and paint up some of the details in white, it might look a little bit more like the original figure. But apart from that, he's a really awesome bot. Great transformation. I would say it's slightly easier to transform this than the original one. The original one, where you're just cramming everything back into the car mode, the clearances were a bit tight, and it was difficult to get everything pegged back in properly. But no such issues with this guy. He's pretty easy to work with. His alt mode, nice blue saloon car that's been re-engineered and restyled to look more like, you know, it's got like muscle car sort of styling cues on the front and around the back. You know, it looks like it's got a bit of Ford Mustang, a bit of a, you know, Dodge Challenger in it. You know, it's quite cool. I really like the styling they put on the front of the car. But yeah, he's awesome. He's got all the ratitude that you expect from a big Korean toy. He's even got some little ankle tilts as well, which is something you don't often see on Korean toys. He's great. He's awesome. I absolutely love this thing, and I really appreciate all the work and attention to detail they put in with this new version of the Hawk character. He's awesome. I absolutely love him. So yeah, managed to get hold of him as part of my Korean purchases this month, and he was the first bot to arrive, and he arrived on the 13th. And then the following day, this thing arrived. The final bot for the Hello Carbot Season 11 Samba toy line. This is Hello Carbot Samba King Guider. It's the combiner. Every season they have a combiner. This is season 11's combiner. It's made up out of 2 bots. Cool Guider, Hot Guider. You've also got the Samba animals. You've got Tri-Cargo and Brachylane. On this side, I think because it is Triceratops and Cargo and Brachiosaur and Crane, so I think that's where they got the names from for these guys. So they're the Samba bots. They form the arms, and yeah. As you can see, he's quite large, very, very colourful. He's a parts former extraordinaire, this thing. I mean, you have to, even to transform the individual bots, you have to take bits apart and reassemble them in order to make this thing work. And this thing has got parts from all over the place on it to make up the combiner. I mean, you've got you've got these 2 feety blocks. They're the arms of Cool Guider. They're the arms of Hot Guider. The gun's made up out of all the parts from the both the bots combined. You've got the Samba animals which plug onto the shoulders. The helmet on the head of the robot is an extra piece. You've got this piece as well, and that piece. Everything is a big old parts former. Everything fits on the combiner. Everything you get with the set will fit on the combiner, and it's all configured here. But when you're going into individual robot modes, there's 1 or 2 pieces that don't seem to fit anywhere else. But in vehicle mode, everything has a place to go in vehicle mode, so that's good. It's very big. The articulation is not the greatest. It's got ratchet joints in the hips and the knees. It's got some soft ratchets in the shoulders, but they barely hold the weight. The elbows only go out to the side. They don't go backwards and forwards. No bicep swivels. It's the usual sort of fare. But he's a good-looking robot. He's pretty big, pretty tall, and pretty chunky. And obviously, because he's my latest Korean combiner, he'll be going in the big bot spot in my room and replacing that Mini Force figure that I got last year. But I've taken it apart recently because some of them are up there on the first and worst bots from last year. So yeah, I managed to get hold of this thing. It's all right. It's okay. It's got issues, as they all do, but it's pretty cool looking thing when it's combined. So and this represents me completing an entire series or season of Hello Carbots. I've got all the figures from season 11. Got the whole lot. The Hello Carbot Samba toy line. I've got everything. I've got all the figures now. So it's not often that I go out and buy all the figures from a particular toy line, but this is what I did, and so yeah, let's move on. So that was that, and yeah, so next I saw on eBay. Now, going back last year, back in October, I got hold of this. This is the Takara Armada Starscream Super Mode, or as I like to call it, Armada Thundercracker. Yeah, so this is the Takara version. It was mostly complete. but it was missing its Minicon. Now, I have this thing, if I get an Armada figure, I like to get the Minicons to go with them. And the Minicon that's supposed to go with this guy, if it's Starscream, it's Swindler, and if it's Thundercracker, it's a Minicon called Zapmaster. So I was looking out to get hold of a Minicon to go with this guy. And buying Minicons is a bit of a hit and miss thing. They might be small, simple little bots, but you know, they can be kind of hard to find, and when you do find them, it's usually sellers in America who are asking, you know, like sort of $25-30 for them. Then they'll charge you like sort of like, you know, $10 to $15 shipping to get it shipped from across the pond, and then it goes through Pitney Bowes, so you have to pay the tax on it, and then by the time you get one, you know, you're paying like, you know, 40-50 quid for a figure that's that big, and it's like, it ain't worth it. So I had a search going on eBay for both Zapmaster and Swindler, and a couple of weeks ago, one of the eBay searches came up. Seller in the UK happened to be selling Zapmaster for about 20 quid shipped. So I got him. So this is Zapmaster, and as I understand, this is the Hasbro version, not the Takara one. Swindler is basically the same mold, but he's in like red and yellow rather than the sort of like the blue and silver. So got hold of him, and now he represents another Armada figure I've got their Minicon for. So we get thingy here, and you put it in the back, and it's sort of supposed to launch around the missile launchers. They jam up a little bit. The clearances aren't the greatest, but he's now a little bit more complete. The only thing I'm missing from the Takara packaging is that sort of like that Minicon sort of star that they used to do with him. I haven't got that, but he's got his missiles. He's now got his Minicon, so he's pretty much complete now. So yeah, been looking forward to getting hold of this guy. Finally got one. So there we go. Finally got hold of Armada Zapmaster for my Thundercracker, aka Super Starscream from the Armada line. So there we go, that's that done. And we're nearly at the end with this video, so we're going for roughly half an hour. We've just got one more bot to show you. It's the focus of my last unboxing, which I did last week actually. Now, AliExpress purchase, one or two AliExpress purchases I made this month. The second one unfortunately got cancelled because of shipping cancellation, because apparently the COVID is rearing up again in China, and it's causing all sorts of sort of lockdowns and restrictions that it means that if you're ordering something off AliExpress or from China through eBay, then it's causing excessive delays to your packages getting out of China. And yeah, I wouldn't recommend buying anything from AliExpress for a while until all this blows over. Yeah, it's getting bad again. But anyway, enough said. This other figure has been something I've been looking at getting for a while, because I'd seen some other people getting in it, and I was really surprised at it and wanted to get one. There's two versions of it. There's a blue one and a green one. The green one is limited edition. I would have preferred to have got it with its original box, but unfortunately, those that were selling it with a box were asking way too much money, and so I had to buy a loose one. And even with buying a loose one and the amount I had to pay, I still paid about 70 odd quid for this thing, but it's a big impressive bot, and you can say it's easily worth the money. Now, if you saw my unboxing video, it came in a small package, and it was all wrapped up in plastic, and it was all split up into various parts, so I had to put it together. So now here I've got the final thing, and it's this guy, NBK KSR-01 King of Sniper, and it turns into a sniper rifle that's, you know, about yay long, and it's a really unusual thing. It's not based on any particular, you know, transformer. It's just something they just threw out there. Quite why they did this, I don't know. It was a bit of a surprise when it finally got revealed. You know, was it middle of last year? I think this thing first surfaced, and wow, what a thing. I wanted to get one because it's so weird and unusual, and I kind of fancied getting one. It's taken me a while to get hold of this, and so I finally got it. Now, obviously, it does come with a bunch of accessories. I mean, you've got the scope that goes on the top of the gun, which you can look through. You've got this sword, which you can convert into a gun by using the gun barrel. You can slot that in, and then it makes a large cannon for him to hold. Or alternatively, you can do this and turn it into a spear. So you've got that, and you've also got this piece here, which forms a bipod, which, you know, you plug onto the front of the cannon mode, but unfortunately it doesn't plug in anywhere in robot mode. And yeah, so the robot itself, I have to be honest, I'm a little bit underwhelmed by this thing when it arrived. I mean, I had to build it up because it came disassembled and I had to put it together, especially the legs. You had to take the hips apart in order to you know, put the legs on, or was it the arms? Anyway, so yeah, some assembly was required. Now, when I say I was underwhelmed by this thing, I mean the size of it. I mean, it's big, but it's not as big as I thought it was going to be. I mean, I saw other people reviewing it, and they were making it look like it was, you know, bigger than, you know, Titan's Return Fort Max, for instance. You know, who's the biggest bot I've got. It's not quite that big. It's more akin to, you know, it's about the same size as, you know, let's say Combiner Wars, Devastator, or, you know, Power of the Prime's Predaking. It's about that sort of size. And I actually took a photograph of it next to my Age of Extinction Chomp and Stomp Grimlock, just for a size comparison, and here it is. So as you can see, it's about the same size. Well, Chomp and Stomp Grimlock, with that piece that sticks out the top of his head, is slightly taller. But yeah, I was expecting it to be bigger than this. I was hopefully half expecting this to be the biggest bot in my collection, but it's not quite there. Also, it might look nice and solid. You know, it's got no hollow bits on the outside. All the limbs are, you know, sort of contained boxes and stuff. But actually, he does have a lot of hollowness because of the way this thing transforms. I mean, if you look at the arm, you sort of open the arm out, like that, as part of the transformation, and as you can see, it's all like quite thin plastic and all hollow inside. And it's made by MBK, which is a company that's known for, you know, doing you know, KOs. I mean, they're mostly known for doing the knockoff of the Generation Toy Gravity Builder, and they also did that that small gun. This thing, MBK small gun. It's their representation of that Combiner Wars Megatron, not the tank one, that transforms into that gun for that one scene in the Combiner Wars Machinima series, where Megatron transformed into a gun and Optimus used him to shoot at Starscream, who turned into a giant because he'd absorbed the Enigma combination. So yeah, so I got hold of one of those. That's the only other MBK figure I've got. And then you got this thing. It's alright. The gun mode is very impressive. The robot mode is very impressive. It's got a decent amount of articulation, you know, double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. You know. It's got a head sculpt that's very Optimus Prime. Yeah, and when you've got it in gun mode, it does have a firing mechanism. You've got these little pellets that you can get, and you've got like a loading flap that you open up. You put it in. There's a cocking handle, and then you know it shoots it out like a Nerf gun. Hasn't got much power though. If you put the gun butt on the floor, it will shoot the pellet up and it'll hit the ceiling. But if you're shooting it horizontally, it just goes because the gravity's stronger than the actual ballistic trajectory of the pellet, and it's only got a range of about a couple of meters before it falls flat. So yeah, but it's interesting. Personally, I'd hoped for more, but it is all right. It's okay. It's a novelty at the end of the day. I don't regret buying it. Another thing about, I don't know whether it's mine or whether all of them, when you're trying to stand him up bolt upright, these heels do not. You see, that looks like it's fairly stiff, but actually when you put him on a hard surface, he does actually fall over backwards. And what I find you have to do is you have to sort of angle his feet out quite aggressively in order to get him to get a stable stand. But if you have his feet like dead straight, he just topples over backwards because the centre of mass is more on his back than it is on his front, and the heels are kind of quite far. The actual pivot for the heels is quite far forwards. So yeah, mine's got a bit of an issue standing up straight. But you know, he comes with a bunch of accessories, and you know, he's pretty big. And there's two versions of it. There's the blue one, which is like this, but all the green bits are painted blue. The only thing about this, and I think this is a missed opportunity on behalf of MBK, what they should have done, or they should have done another version of this, or a variant where they remold it to look like Voss off the DJD. So I reckon they could pull that off, don't you? They could restyle this thing to look more like Voss off the DJD, and if they did that, they'd have a guaranteed hit on their hands. But yeah, it's all right. It's okay. I've got one now. I'm a little disappointed by it because you know it isn't quite as impressive as I thought it was going to be. But you know it does a thing. It's got the gun mode. I mean the gun itself. I mean it's a futuristic looking weapon. I mean you could quite easily use it as a gun to take to cosplay. One thing that it reminds me of is, you know, weapons from Borderlands. Yeah, so it's one of those things. It looks like a weapon from Borderlands, and I'm a big fan of Borderlands, so it works in that respect. So yeah, I managed to get hold of one of these, and he was the last figure I got this month. So there we go. And like I said, only a small haul this month. Only, you know, well, 7 bots, 6 purchases. There was a couple of other things I bought, but they didn't. They haven't come in yet, or they got cancelled. So, a bit disappointing. Next month, NEC Toy Fair next week, and so obviously I'll be going along to that. And there's at least one guaranteed thing I'm going to be buying there, because there's a particular bot from Geekology that I'm hopefully going to be buying off on, which is a repaint of a figure I've already got, and it's out of the 3 that they made, it's the only one I haven't got, so I decided to get it. So I'm looking forward to getting that. But this month, like I said, that's the end of my haul. 40 minutes, that's not too bad. Let's put this thing to bed, shall we? So, first and worst. First and worst. Now, making Zapmaster the worst thing that I got this month is not fair. It's really not fair. I don't dislike him. I don't hate him. He's just a little Minicon, but you know, everything else is just way more bigger and impressive than he is, and that's the only reason he is the worst thing I got. I don't hate it. It's just that everything else is better than this guy. So you know, he got the wooden spoon. He drew the short straw. And it's a shame, really. It's not really fair on him, but yeah, he's the worst thing I got this month. And the best thing, it had to be, you know, hello Carbot, Hawk X, another KTRT on my best bots of the year list. What's happening there then? I think this is is it 2 I've got this year so far? Anyway, no, I love what they did with this thing. Yeah, it's not perfect. You know, there's a couple of things they could have done better, but overall, I'm very impressed with the attention to detail on this thing. You know, like I said, like these little flaps here, they didn't need to do that, but they did. And the original figure had some little flaps that came down under his shoulder wings. You know, I love that. And he's awesome. So he's the best bot I got this month, in my opinion. So there we go. That has been my haul for April of 2022. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I've kept this thing reasonably short, just over 40 minutes. So like I said, NEC Toy Fair next week. Looking forward to going to that. Don't know what else I'm going to buy next month. Might be throwing a pre-order down on that Legacy Motormaster, if I can find one that has a place where it isn't sold out, because I think, you know, if I want to get me a Legacy Menasor, then you know, you have to get in there, because they're going to get snapped up before too long. So with that said, I've been 25 Wilderness. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you all next time. Ta-da!